every console has a launch window game that acts as a tech demo. The Mega Drive had Sonic the Hedgehog to prove how fast the Mega Drive could shift sprites. The SNES had F-Zero to show the system's ability to scale and rotate graphics, and the PlayStation had Ridge Racer to show that Namco's arcade hits could be brought home in an almost perfect port. Other than Super Mario 64, Waverace 64 was the Nintendo 64's time to shine, pushing around polygonal water like no game had ever done before. A sequel to 1992's long-forgotten Game Boy title Waverace, here was a very unique racer. For a start, the water-based action takes place on jet skis, and in an unusual move from Nintendo, these motorised vehicles are sponsored by their real-life manufacturer, Kawasaki. But there's more to this game than just simply moving the genre from the tarmac to the waves, as the water genuinely makes a difference to how races pan out. As suggested by the title, each race is, well, filled with waves, and the seemingly random nature of how these waves manifest requires that you constantly be on your toes so that you don't just come up a cropper.
But it ain't just the waves you need to deal with, no siree. Each race is filled with buoys that you need to pass specifically on either the left or right side depending on their colour. Now it's absolutely essential that you do what these coloured spheres say, because not only does missing them slow you down, but missing 3 of them in a race is an instant failure. Then, there's all the other obstacles that you need to jump over and swerve to avoid. Now, this is a deceptively complex racer when you actually begin to play it for yourself, and I haven't even begun to talk about the stunt mechanics.
Now it's not all about reaching the finish line in Waverace 64. Well, it is, but you know what I mean. A little style goes a long way here, and there are several tricks you can perform while straddling your water-based craft after jumping on a ramp or wave. It's not just about looking cool, a successful execution of a stunt increases your speed. But get it wrong, you'll just likely fall off your jet ski, losing your precious time as well as the other racers pointing at you and laughing as they pass by. And it feels good to land a handstand, or even full-on flip, but the risk and reward involved in performing these tasks add a little more depth to the gameplay.
In addition to the standard racing template of tackling series of tracks in different difficulty levels, Waverace 64 also gives you further reason to brush up on your tricks in the stunt mode. Select a track, select your rider and craft as normal, take to the waves and earn points by nailing as many tricks and stunts as possible. Beat the score and enter your name on the scoreboard. Simple stuff, of course, and strangely compelling as you really have to hone your skills to try and cram as many tricks and skills as you can in one lap of a course.
Waverace 64 is a classic because of the way it successfully conveys that feeling of being on the water. There's a sense of sluggishness to the way your jet ski takes turns, alongside the feeling of bobbing up and down on the water that feels quite realistic even today. It feels completely different from a road-based racer, as it should do really, and with all the different mechanics involved, this is a game that offers, well, an entirely different kind of challenge.
Seeing 64-bit waves form in the water before fading back into the sea may look primitive now, but at the time this was one of the most amazing looking games around. But it was nice to see that these pretty polygonal waves act as more than just eye candy. The controls also made great use of the Nintendo 64 analog stick, a control method that most players had never really experienced properly before. The idea of nudging a stick just a little bit to make small movements and then wrenching it another way to make these big turns was just so alien at the time, but in this instance implemented so incredibly well.
This is a game that has remained largely forgotten by Nintendo, save for a few Virtual Console re-releases and a sequel in the form of GameCube launch title Waverace Blue Storm. Racing games set on the water have been very few and far between over the years, which is quite surprising considering how fondly remembered this Nintendo 64 game was. Could it have been because it was a launch title at a time when very few games were available for the system? Well, maybe, but I'd wager that it was because this was Nintendo attempting and, well, succeeding to do something just a little bit different from a racer. This was another episode of the Retrocast, one of God Is It Geek's many regular series you can see on our YouTube channel. With new videos popping up almost every day, you might just want to caress that subscribe button just a little bit. If you really like us, please fund us on patreon.com/godisitgeek to help make our videos even better and get access to all sorts of backer exclusive content, or even get a few things earlier than the rest of the plebs. The Retrocast will be back in 2 weeks, and I'll be back on Monday for another reason to be cheerful. So hopefully I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
should have backed the God is a Geek Patreon.